The dust settled over our small room, but it brought no peace. I looked at Orion. His skin, once flushed with life, was turning a dull, lifeless ash. "Lyra, I can't feel the sunlight anymore," he whispered. The grey-out wasn't a myth, it was a plague, and it was stealing my brother right in front of my eyes. I gripped the edge of his bed. The magic in this world had failed us. It belonged only to the elite, leaving the rest of us to turn into statues of despair. "I won't let you fade, Orion, I promise." My voice echoed in the empty room, but my mind was already racing. If magic couldn't save him, I needed something else, something forbidden, something made of cold, hard steel. The legends spoke of wings that didn't need a single ounce of mana. I grabbed my worn satchel and looked back at him one last time. Just hold on a little longer. The ticking clock of his fading color was the only sound left in my ears. I stepped out into the dreary streets, my heart pounding with a dangerous new rhythm. The descent had begun. The underground market smelled of rust and desperation. I pushed past the shadowy figures, my eyes scanning the hidden stalls for the whispered rumor. "You're looking for the Iron Bird, aren't you?" An old merchant croaked from the corner. I didn't answer. I just slammed my bag of meager savings onto his wooden counter. He pulled back a heavily stained canvas tarp, and there it was. The mechanical glider. Its sharp, clean lines cut through the dreary backdrop of the market like a blade of pure rebellion. No magic, no ethereal glow, just pure, unyielding physics and steel. "It's heavy, and without mana to guide it, it's a death trap," the merchant warned. "Good," I replied, running my hand along the cold metal wing. "I'm not looking for magic, I'm looking for a way up." I strapped the heavy harness over my shoulders. The sheer weight of it grounded me, a stark reminder of my humanity in a terrifyingly magical world. But as I locked the final buckle into place, a spark of hope ignited in my chest. I had the mechanical advantage now. I was finally ready to defy the oppressive sky. The edge of the cliff offered a dizzying view of the emerald clouds below. I stood at the precipice, the mechanical glider secured firmly to my back. "Just trust the wind, Lyra. Trust the steel," I muttered to myself. I took a deep breath, sprinting right toward the absolute edge of the world. With a desperate leap, I threw myself into the abyss. For 3 seconds, it was pure, unadulterated freedom. The wings snapped open, catching the updraft, and I was actually flying. The false sense of competence washed over me like a warm embrace. I did it, I'm flying, but the sky world had no mercy for intruders without magic. Suddenly, a violent wind shear slammed into my right wing, tearing through the air with the force of a hammer. The mechanical limits of the glider shrieked in protest. My stomach dropped as the chaotic physics of the sky threw me into a terrifying tailspin. I gripped the control bars, the lush greens of the abyss spinning wildly around me. Pull up, pull up! Safety was a lie, and the immediate danger was pulling me deeper into the azure abyss. The real test had only just begun.
The emerald abyss was trying to swallow me whole. The violent wind shear tore at the metal wings of my glider, threatening to snap them in half, while gravity pulled me into the endless storm. "I'm not dying here, Orion, I'm not." The words ripped from my throat as I threw my entire body weight against the right control bar. My muscles burned, screaming in protest against the sheer force of the gale. Cold physics was all I had left in a world ruled by mana. The left wing groaned, a terrifying shriek of bending steel that echoed through the dense, swirling clouds. Bolts threatened to pop out of their sockets. With a brutal jerk, the glider finally caught a stable updraft. I broke through the thickest layer of the storm, gasping for breath as my descent leveled out. For a split second, I thought I was actually going to survive this nightmare. But my relief only lasted a second. Looming dead ahead in the mist was a massive, jagged, floating island, and I was heading straight for its rocky teeth. There was no time to pray. The jagged stone spikes of the floating island rushed up to meet me at a terrifying speed. The wind screamed in my ears, mocking my foolish attempt to conquer the sky. "Brace for impact," I screamed to an empty sky, pulling the nose of the glider up as hard as humanly possible to stall the dive. But the momentum was just too immense. The metal controls dug into my palms. The heavy metal undercarriage slammed into the rock face. A shower of bright sparks erupted as steel scraped against ancient, merciless stone. The impact threw me violently forward. I tumbled across the hard, moss-covered ground, the breath completely knocked out of my lungs. The world spun in a blinding flash of green and gray as I rolled to a painful stop. For a long, terrifying moment, everything became agonizingly quiet. I pushed myself up from the freezing dirt, my hands instinctively reaching for the worn leather satchel. My cargo was safe, but the crash had cost me my only way back up. And deep within the shadows of the rocks, something with hungry eyes began to watch my every move. The clicking sounds echoed off the crumbling pillars. It wasn't the wind, and it certainly wasn't a human. I was trapped in a graveyard of ancient stone. I tightened my grip on a jagged metal strut torn from my ruined glider. Magic would have been nice right about now, a simple fireball to light up the darkness. But down here, blunt force trauma and desperate adrenaline would have to do the job. Suddenly, a glowing, fleshy piece of flora snapped its jaws shut right beside my boot. The entire ecosystem down here was a lethal trap, starved of sunlight and eager for fresh meat. Before I could even curse the demonic plant, a shadow dropped silently from the corrupted ceiling. A cloaked figure landed flawlessly in the dirt directly behind me, not making a single audible sound.
You have precisely 2 seconds to drop that rusted scrap metal, Sky Dweller.
A cold, calculated voice whispered from the darkness, pressing a freezing steel blade directly against my throbbing throat. My blood ran completely cold. The monsters below the clouds weren't just mindless beasts. They were survivors. They were hunters, and I had just stumbled right into their slaughterhouse.
You have precisely 2 seconds to drop that rusted scrap metal, Sky Dweller.
The freezing steel blade bit into my skin. I didn't breathe. I didn't blink. I just dropped the metal strut into the dirt.
Smart choice.
He kicked my only weapon away into the shadows. His face was hidden beneath a ragged hood, but his eyes glowed with a dangerous, predatory gold. I'm not looking for a fight. I just crashed.
People don't just crash into the Verdant Trials. They jump, or they are thrown.
He circled me like a wolf appraising a wounded deer.
Which one are you, a fool or a victim?
I'm the one who's going back up. A low, mocking chuckle rumbled in his chest.
Up? That rusted toy on your back is shattered, and the Inquisition's tracking falcons are already hunting for your corpse.
He pulled back his hood, revealing a face etched with scars and ash.
They will be here in less than 5 minutes. If you want to survive, you follow my rules.
Before I could even protest, a piercing mechanical shriek echoed from the clouds above. The hunt was here. The mechanical shriek tore through the dense emerald fog, freezing the blood in my veins. Above us, the emerald clouds parted. A metallic tracking falcon, forged by the Inquisition, plunged toward the ruins like a falling star. They found us, I whispered, my heart hammering against my ribs. No, they found you, he corrected, his voice devoid of any sympathy. He grabbed my arm, his grip like a steel vise, and dragged me toward a narrow fissure in the rock wall. Move, unless you want your bones picked clean by their mechanical claws. We sprinted through the damp, moss-covered corridors of the ancient ruins. The screech of the falcon echoed closer, its red targeting laser cutting through the darkness behind us. What is that thing? I gasped, struggling to match his relentless pace. A hunter-killer drone, powered by the magic you lack and programmed to erase anomalies, meaning you. Suddenly, the ground beneath our feet violently shook. The stone path crumbled, and I felt nothing but empty air as we fell into the absolute dark. We crashed hard onto a bed of glowing blue fungi. The breath vanished from my lungs in an agonizing rush. Above us, the muffled screech of the tracking falcon echoed, but the thick cavern roof held firm. We were trapped, but alive. "Get off my leg, Sky Dweller," he groaned, angrily pushing me aside. I scrambled back, coughing up dust. "My name is Lyra, and I wouldn't have fallen if your stupid floor wasn't crumbling." "This stupid floor just saved your life," Kale snapped, pulling a small, glowing crystal from his pocket to illuminate the cavern. The soft blue light washed over the walls, revealing something impossible. It wasn't just a cave. It was a junkyard of shattered wings and rusted engines, a physical graveyard of mechanical flight. "You're building something," I breathed out, staring at a massive, partially repaired glider frame. Kale stepped between me and the machine, his golden eyes narrowing with absolute hostility. "I said I'd keep you alive. I never said I'd let you touch my escape route." His blade pressed the air between us, but I refused to step back. "You have a massive frame, but your right wing strut is misaligned. If you fly that rig into the wind shear, it will snap in 10 seconds.
And what does a Sky Dweller like you know about aerodynamic torque?
He mocked. "I know that without me fixing that joint, you'll die down here. So, you need me. and I need a ride." He lowered his blade, a wicked smirk crossing his scarred face.
"One mistake, and I throw you off the wing myself."
Deal. Together, we dragged the heavy steel plates across the freezing cavern floor. My hands were bruised, but the mechanical glider finally took shape. It was a metal beast born entirely out of our desperation.
"Get in the harness."
Kale commanded, throwing a rusted pulley system over his shoulder. As I strapped in behind him, the thick stone ceiling above us violently shook. The tracking falcon had finally broken through.